Queen Hatshepsut was a very powerful woman. She took over the throne and she ruled for 20 years. During 20 years, she built many things. Her major temple is what we see right there. It was her funeral temple. Funeral for praying after death. In ancient Egypt, locals were not allowed to see the tombs. The tombs of the pharaohs were top secret. So instead, pharaohs built funeral temples so people could come later to pray on the souls of the dead kings after death. Each pharaoh had a funeral temple, but hers is unique. Hers is the only temple built on 3 levels, 3 floors, and we've got ramps and steps in the middle leading up to the second, another ones leading up to the third. The first and the third floors were very much broken were very much restored in the last 100 years, but the middle one, particularly the extreme right side, it has the best preserved colors. This is where you see the chapel of Anubis. You know Anubis? The jackal-headed god, the god of mummification. And this is where we're supposed to see pictures of Hatshepsut praying to Anubis, making offerings to Ammon. Supposed to see her pictures, since after 20 years on the throne of Egypt, her 5 years old stepson grown up, and he was very angry. He lost the power of his father, so he might have killed him. We're not quite sure. But we know that he was very angry and he destroyed her images, pictures, and statues. So there was a statue of her in front of each pillar at the top floor. Now we can see ruins of 8 or 9, and they're nearly new. By the way, you can easily find out which is old, which is new. Old stone, my friends, is usually dark and cracked. New is lighter and intact. Paint, carvings, new is plain. So at the end, we never repaint, we never recarve. I'm just telling you, because once you see the colors either here or later in the Valley of the Kings, you won't believe it, my friends. They seem painted like a week ago, and they are genuine colors and carvings, thousands of years old. At the end of the third floor is the sanctuary of the temple, which was carved into the mountain. Little tiny room had the statue of the god, which is gone, but it has beautiful colors and paints. In front of the first floor, there was a Sphinx Avenue. We see one of them right there, but the Sphinx there is 7 years old. You can tell when you get closer to it. Too much restoration work. Ruins of Sphinxes under restoration work. Yeah, you see them? And behind them, ruins of an older temple. This is Montuhotep's temple, 2000 BC. It's 500 years older, 2 floors only. So Senenmut, who was the architect of Queen Hatshepsut, took the same idea, added a 3rd floor. Senenmut was not just her architect, he was the vizier, like a prime minister. He was the teacher of her daughter, but many say he was more than that. Close friend. More details? Friend with benefits? Okay. Nothing changed, Habibi. Okay. Around the temple we see many caves and holes, and they were just tombs of the workers. Those who built the temple a long time ago were honored and buried next to Hatshepsut's tomb. In just little tiny caves, nothing else. Around them is the wide track leads up to the top of the valley of the Kings. Tourists used to hike it on foot on donkeys until 2005, not anymore. Safety and security. Down there, my friends, we have 2 buildings. The dark one, the tomb of Montuhotep, 650 BC, out of mud. Would have last for a week in the UK, huh? Walked away. To the right, that was the tomb of Montuhotep, the mayor of Luxor, 650 BC, and the other one, which looks like a mosque, it's not. It's a rest house for European archaeologists to stay in during the excavation restoration work.
But the big thing over
the other one to the right, yeah. But this is real Egypt. I know it's smoky now, but real Egypt, my friends, green and fertile for 7, 8, maximum 10 kilometers, and then the rest of Egypt is. That's why I'm afraid overpopulation is a major problem. We're nearly 104 millions, and we live on the tiny banks around the river, which is like less than 10% of Egypt. Yeah.
कह भी रहा था वो कि राइट साइड ऑलमोस्ट इंटैक्ट है.
How are you today? Fine? Yeah. Okay, so I'll take just a few minutes from your time. I will give you just a smaller idea what we are doing here. Because we are specialists to make a lot of kinds from the stones since the ancient time until now. And this area, we have a so famous stone we call the alabaster stone or the marble alabaster. And this is the alabaster. Okay? The alabaster you find it only here, just in Egypt, especially in Luxor in this area. Okay? And the other quality, they call it the marble just using for the floor. The ancient people, they choose the alabaster before us to make, and you can find it in the museum in Cairo. And the museum in Cairo, the King Tutankhamun, you have a very beautiful collection from the canopic jars and vases. The ancient people made from this stone. Why do you choose this stone to make as a vase? Because the alabaster is very clear stone, and the ancient people that were living here, they live without electric. So they make it the candle, and then they put it in the light to make light, in the vase to make light. This is the three different colors as you see from the alabaster. The white one and the brown one and also the green. And this stone we get from the mountain here exactly behind the Kings Valley over than 20 or 25 kilometers. And we are bring from there by camel and by donkey because no way for the car. We are bring from there just exactly at the tip of the mountain. We are using here exactly the same step of the ancient people to make the vase. The first, we start to cut the material like that. And then we start to shape it by the hammer to make different kind and different design from the vase as you see. We can make it a vase or a bowl or ashtray, whatever, and at the end it will be like this. You will hold this one, and you tell me exactly how many kilograms you can get a very, very good present inside. How many kilos?
5 kilos?
5 kilos.
It's not heavy.
8.
That's heavy. It's like
10.
one
So you different number.
9.9.
9.9. 10 for 1. Okay. 13.
go.
And after you finish it like this, you know, it will be more light. I mean, this is 50% from our work. Then, we're using the hammer again to take this out because we don't need it anymore. And then we start to work it in our side. We're using the file. Just to wash it 4 times because we are different, hard and soft and more soft. And after that, you know, we are working with sandstone. Sandstone gives the bath the smooth touch, so it will be very, very soft. And at the end, behind the factory here, we have large oven. We take all the pieces what we make and we put in the oven just for 20 or 25 minutes, over than 80 or 85 degrees, and then we take it out and we cover it with a little bit of wax, white wax, inside and outside. So we put the vase in the oven for 2 reasons. The first, the vase will be very thin, so I'd like to make it more stronger. Second, we cover it with wax because we have natural color at the source, it will be more clear. So, from 10 kilograms, the pieces that we make, that one is already finished now. So, it will be how many kilo, and this is very important for everybody. I like to hear numbers, 1 kilo.
500 grams.
500 grams. 1.5. 3 kilo. 2. This one is nearly close. It's about 400 to 350 grams. Do you see it? How it is very light? Is it stronger? Yeah. Look at the difference between the handmade one and the machine one. The machine one is so heavy pieces because the machine one just use just the powder with the glue and make it by stamp, and after that polish it by water and the machine. It's not 100% like that. It's handmade one. Look at the machine one. And this one, the handmade one, you can use for light or for candles, will be more beautiful. You can see the light coming through from the stones, and you can see also all the natural color adjustment. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention. We will go inside now to show you what they have. Okay.
Egyptians, my friends, believed in the sun god, Ra. Ra or Re rises east, sits west, disappears for 12 hours, and then rises again. So it was like a circle, rising birth, sitting death, hours of the day lifetime, hours of the night underworld, re-rising, rebirth or resurrection. The point was the pharaoh had already passed away, he's dead. So lifetime pictures, we see it on the walls of the temples, but here we see pictures explain the journey in the underworld. The journey was in a river. So the most famous picture is the pharaoh on the boat, sails in the underworld, and gods and goddesses around. Gods and goddesses like Horus, the falcon-headed god, the son of Osiris, from the goddess Isis. You see Ramesses I between Horus and Anubis, the jackal-headed god, the god of mummification. Occasionally we call him Dr. Anubis, since occasionally we see him embalming, mummifying. The pharaohs. As well, you see a picture of enemies, evil spirits, evil souls, bad people, upside down, headless, tied up. They were evil. People. Pharaohs had to get rid of them to have a safe journey in the underworld. You see also the goddess Nut, you heard of goddess Nut? Goddess of the sky. She was a woman bending over. So she is swallowing the sun disk. She's eating the sun. and ejecting from the other side. And you're gonna see here picture on the ceilings of the tombs, particularly on the ceiling of the burial chamber. As well, you see god Men. God Men was the god of fertility. God of Viagra, my friends. We had a legend about this god. The legend says while Egyptian soldiers fighting outside, he was downtown. So he was busy looking after women. Soldiers came back very angry and they cut one of his arms and one of his legs. So we always see him on the walls of the temples, one leg, one arm. I bet they cut wrong things. They should cut something else. But he's not bad because he had 3 legs. Now he's got 2. But his second leg goes in a different direction. Egyptian size. Do you know why Egyptians dress the galabeya? You know the galabeya? The white local dresses? Why? Space, yeah. I do not show this to my wife, you know, she's gonna be disappointed. Coptic Christian graffiti, Coptic Christian prayers. Back to 500 AD. This is from the tomb of Ramesses IV. Look at the not hieroglyphics, Latin, okay, which means tombs were found long time ago. Tombs were stolen long time ago. My friends, those tombs around were not stolen a couple of 100 years ago by Europeans. They were stolen, I'm afraid, shortly after the death of the pharaohs, and the treasures were even recycled. You see also, you must know this guy.
I'm guessing that's the, I forget his name, Carter.
Carter, Howard Carter, the British archaeologist who discovered the tomb of Tutankhamun in 1922. He found the tomb almost intact, and he found 5,300 objects, and he found the greatest. The greatest was, actually he found the mummy as well. This is one of the early photos taken of the mummy of Tutankhamun. With some little treasures on it. But the greatest of the treasures was, yeah, 11 kilogram of solid gold. Which is luckily in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. Hatshepsut's temple, we saw it before, we saw it. Okay, 2 floors only. Old picture like 100 years ago. Just 2 floors, and the third one was reconstructed. Memnon. Look at the Colossi of Memnon. They were into the water of the flood until 1960s when the Aswan High Dam was built. Japan?
Yeah.
Japanese samurai. Early visit of Japanese travelers. Yeah. You see? Next to the Sphinx. I hear they were brothers. You've been to Cairo? Huh? You saw the pyramids and buildings and hotels and crowds. Look at this old photo, my friends. The water of the flood was all the way to the area of the pyramids years ago. So the 3 tombs I do recommend for you to see are KV8, KV8, Merim Betah, This is the second longest and steepest tomb in the Valley of the Kings. Then KV6, Ramesses the Ninth. KV is King's Valley. So KV8, KV6, and then on the way back there is KV2, Ramesses 4. In the middle there is KV62. It's Tutankhamun's tomb. It was luckily dug there 1350 BC by accident. KV5 and 6 was dug on the top of it. So all what came out from the new one covered the older one till 22 when it was found by Carter. The other tombs around, my friends, were stolen long time ago. Treasures were melted down, recycled, sold, whatever. But the mummies were useless. So they left the mummies on the floors of the tombs, which were luckily collected, and they were put in cash. You know cash? Not money. C-A-C-H-E, like storage, cachet. So next to Hatshepsut's temple, there was a cache found in 1881. In it were found 38 mummies. And those mummies are luckily in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, in the mummies. 1200 BC. So this is 3,200 years old. And it was the funeral temple of Ramesses III as well. In front of it we see two seated figures of the goddess Sekhmet. Goddess Sekhmet was the goddess of war. She was a woman with the lioness head.
Wow.
Lioness makes sense. Woman does? Occasionally, yeah.
Yes.
She has the sun disk up on the head for the good Ra. And she has the key of life and in her left hand. The main entrance of the temple, my friends, is the big wall. We see it right there, which we call it pylon. Pylon. In the UK, it's what carries electricity. Yeah. In America, it's like what? Pillar or column? In Egypt, it's the facade of the temple. And it is the best preserved pylon ever built in Pharaonic Egypt. Let's walk together slowly, guys. I'm going to explain to you and then phrase on it. Egyptian temples, friends, were built from inside outside. So the oldest is inside, the newest is outside. The oldest, the sanctuary, the holy of the holies. And this is where the God stayed. And the newest is the pylon, the facade of the temple. And between the sanctuary at the very end and the pylon outside, there were large open courts where locals prayed to the gods. Farther in, you're gonna see pillared homes where priests prayed to the gods. So where locals pray to the gods outside, pharaohs love to show the power. So we see them fighting all the time. So this is Ramesses III to the extreme left side, while he's grabbing the enemies by hair and smiting them in front of God Ammon. Same thing to the right side in front of God Horus, while around the temple we see great mud wall for protection. Where we have locals praying. So we see pictures of battles and wars. This is Ramesses III on the chariot fighting. So we see the enemies underneath his horses, fallen, dead, injured, all over. We're not quite sure it was real or propaganda. Second wall has a picture of Ramesses III leading captives and prisoners to the gods Ammon and Mut, the gods of Luxor. And to the right side, the hieroglyphics explain how Ramesses won the battle. Pharaohs were always winners. Yeah, winners write the history. Typical. To the right side, we see 7 square pillars and statues of Ramesses III and his daughters, unfortunately broken because of the age and the people. Egyptians, my friends, later became Christians and Muslims, and for a while they thought this is a pagan religion, it's a bad thing, so they destroyed them. They did that almost all over Egypt. I'm telling facts, my friends. I'm Christian myself, but we were crazy. Yeah, we were as crazy as Taliban. Yeah, not anymore. I'm not sure. Okay. So this is 25 years old, but the original floor, thousands of years old. They're bigger and cracked and broken. So be careful while you're walking, guys. My friends, you've been to 3 tombs in the Valley of the Kings, and you saw beautiful pictures, colors, and paints. Expected, hidden for ages. But when we see those colors outside, that's really phenomenal, my friends. The picture we see it on the ceiling is typical picture. The vulture, like an eagle, spreading the wings to protect the temple, but the colors are thousands of years old. My friends, we repaint our houses each 5 to 10 years. and those colors are thousands of years old. One of the columns to the right was knocked down. Images and the faces had been chiseled out and defaced. You see, this is the pharaoh in front of the god. He's not smoking pipe, he's burning incense in front of the god Amon. The image is gone. Yeah, that's sad.